Now, from the Random Studio in New York City, this is the News Update with your host, Andy's Randomness.
Hello there. In this update, we are going to talk about very important topics that local media, again, in the New York City area, will not really pay attention to and or care about. So, the three stories we will be discussing today will also be linked in the description below, are as follows. First up, we will discuss the homeless shelter coming to College Point next year. Then, we will talk about Bill de Blasio misusing New York City money on personal stuff that honestly should get him in trouble. And the last topic we will discuss is, of course, criticism over the Long Island Railroad's location to host its public hearing on the fare hikes. So the top story for today is, of course, the homeless shelter coming for Queens. And unfortunately, I tried doing an epic rant about it when I was in Auburndale earlier, but the weather just didn't cooperate because of the wind. So I figured I will give my reaction inside the comfort of my own studio. So pretty much, this is the building right here on Google Maps. Department of Homeless Shelters has confirmed that a shelter will go up at, I'll highlight the address, I'll show it on Google Maps in just a second, 12703 20th Avenue. And pretty much, there's a lot of reasons why I'm against this shelter, and I'll go into it in just a second. It's blocks away, number one, from the College Point Shopping Center, which is not good. Right? This is pretty much a main hub of Queens. You go down to the street, you have another shopping center right around here. You have the bowling alley. You have the shopping center. The former Pathmark that became Stop and Shop. ShopRite used to be Wallbounds, and now this is taking place. And not to mention, there's a hotel right by LaGuardia Airport. So, you also have where my mom used to work, St. Agnes High School. And then there's, of course, Mama's Soup, where I used to work, but they closed, and this is pretty much an industrial blue-collar area. And I'm very worried that this shelter is going to make the area look bad. And pretty much the men who are going to be living in the shelter are going to be let out during the day, and who knows what they're going to be doing. And that's why a lot of people in this area at Queens are against the shelter. So, let me read you the article from... I believe this is from the Chronicle. Yeah, this is from the Chronicle. Okay. So, City Councilman Paul Fallone confirmed back on Thursday, November 15th, that the men's shelter, which is surrounded by controversy, will open in College Point. They spoke to Mr. Fallone on November 14th and notified him that this former office building, 12703 20th Avenue, will come as early as September of 2019. So, David Levitin is the guy who runs Department of Homeless Services. Pretty much sold out all of College Point for profit over the needs of the entire community. Not just, again, College Point, but again, pretty much Northeast Queens. This ruins the image. This ruins the image. That's what Mr. Fallone was trying to say. This was a site that was deliberately purchased and converted for use as a homeless shelter, a despicable act by one owner who had no regard for the community I can't really read this word properly. Infiltrates. We will continue to fight and stand with College Point. Residents heard rumors about the homeless shelter potentially coming to the area at the October 24th meeting of the College Point Civic and Taxpayers Association meeting. Assemblyman Dan Rosenthal informed residents that he wrote a letter to Queensborough Commissioner Derek Lee after noticing the Department of Buildings record shows shelter-type renovations for the property. So, we're not really going to read that much. You all get an idea that this is unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable that you're putting a shelter in, again, a major hub of Queens where it's industrial. You have the shopping centers, of course, residents, again, who live in Whitestone and College Point. I understand they're angry about this. They have every right to be. And honestly, this is just unacceptable. I said it again. And pretty much, I'm going to look up this College Point Civic and Taxpayers Association, because I did hear that they were going to meet tonight. So let's just see if I can Google them. So I'm curious what happens if you actually Google them. Let's see what happens. Okay. So here's their website. And now we're going to check to see their calendars. So here's what we know right now. I actually are meeting tonight. Paul Falone is again speaking there tonight. And of course, let's get the meeting location. The Poppin Husen Institute at 11404 14th Road. So we're going to look this up on Google Maps and see where it is, because more people show up, the better. Because this homeless shelter, once again, I even spoke to some of my co-workers at Osdom, and they all agreed that it's not good for this area. It's not. So let's see where this thing is. Ah, okay, the Q65 goes up there. Alright, so if you are interested, if you do want to go to this meeting tonight, it's again 7 o'clock at the Poppin Husen Institute. The address is again 11404 14th Road in College Point. It is accessible via the Q65, so pretty much it was a good location to obviously put this in, because very important that here you do have the Q65 route. So if you are interested, you can take the Q65 bus. If you are coming from 20th Avenue, what you can do is you can actually transfer at College Point Boulevard. So again, you can transfer at College Point Boulevard on the Q65 route. If you're coming from the Q76, you can do the same thing. Just get off at Target, walk west on 20th Avenue, and then take the Q65 and get off at, I'll give the bus stop in just a second if you are curious. Another park video I can do next year. Quickly want to mention that. I might want to visit that park. Around the Bay of College Point. Yeah, you can get off at the 14th Avenue bus stop. So, quickly want to mention that. And lastly, we'll just look at Paul Falone. This is Paul Falone. He represents this district of Queens right here. So, once again, if you live in Northeast Queens and you care about this, please consider going to the meeting tonight. Because again, I can't go because I have to take care of some things. And of course, I have to go to work tomorrow. So, yeah, that's going to wrap up the first part. So the next part will be about Bill de Blasio. What has he done now that could be worse than putting a homeless shelter in College Point? Well, de Blasio on his watch let New York City school officials blow millions in travel expenses. And you're not going to believe who exposed him. New York City Controller Scott Stringer. So let's read this. And this is on the cover of the Daily News today here in New York. A scathing audit of out-of-control travel expenses at the Department of Education has a message for school officials. Just do the math. According to New York City Controller Scott Stringer, who is a Democrat, the New York City school system botched more than $20 million in runaway travel expenses, including unnecessary payouts to lavish hotels for meetings that could have been easily held on school sites. Mr. Stringer's bombshell tally of 2017 travel vouchers filed by the Education Department employees found sloppy staffers failed to follow the regulations for 93% of travel expenses, potentially costing taxpayers millions of dollars in bogus spending in part of the city of New York. I apologize about that, everyone. That is my cell phone. Among the problems Controller Stringer found in his deep dive into a retrospective sample of roughly 1 million travel expenses that occurred under the watch of Mayor Bill de Blasio. So pretty much this is what the audit revealed. So this is the first time I'm reading this, so let's read it together. Alright, so in the audit, the notes were listed as follows: $14,023 in blatant overpayments, including $11,913 to the glitzy New York City Marriott at the Brooklyn Bridge. So that's the first issue. $233,167 to meetings in hotels and other venues with no effort as required by the rules to find or free or low-cost spacing in New York City school buildings, including $12,883 for a staff retreat at the posh Tarrytown Estate on the Hudson. $269,684 that lacked requirement written bids, including a $17,847 catering bill. $14,956 in credit card charges with no supporting documentation, including $2,821 in charges at the lavish Gaylord Opryhead Resort in Nashville. So that's Tennessee, of course. Okay, Stringer said city's $32 billion public school system must institute tighter controls on travel expenses for education department staffers. Stringer said, when it comes to our schools, every single dollar counts. We can't afford to waste dollars that should go to our kids in classrooms. The New York City Department of Education's failure to follow its own policy and keep close track of spending shows a disregard for taxpayers and ending us costing our students. Take a look at this. This is the Tarrytown House Estate that was paid for an overnight staff retreat of almost $13,000. Oh my goodness. This audit also includes former New York City Schools Chancellor Carmen Farina. She cost taxpayers nearly $61,000 in one fell swoop when she canceled a prepaid trip for Cuba for 16 students and 6 staff members that was scheduled in 2017. After Farina canceled the jaunt, the city lost the $60,422 prepayment, and then school officials authorized an additional $97,000 for a replacement trip in that same year to Brazil for most of the same group. Farina couldn't be reached for comment back on Tuesday, but an education department spokesman said the decision to cancel the Cuba trip was made due to political unrest in the island nation. Education department officials, like officials from other cities' agencies, are expected to comply with a set of requirements for travel expenses designed to prevent waste and fraud. Yep, they ignored the rules. School officials followed the city's own approval process of $269,684 for the payments in the 1 million sample Stringer studied. And it cost New York City taxpayers the mandate to seek free meeting space for events for outside venues, $233,167. City school officials also overpaid school travel invoices by $14,023, including nearly $12,000 to stay at the New York Marriott at the Brooklyn Bridge. You can't make this stuff up. Arthur Goldstein, a teacher at Francis Lewis High School, said, "Teachers have to beg for money, and these educrats are staying at the Marriott. Shame on them. They don't have any money to reduce class sizes, but they have money to overpay hotels. Where are the priorities? That I agree with. And again, this is what happens when you have a corrupt mayoral administration. This type of behavior honestly should put Bill de Blasio in jail. But knowing how it gets talked about, it's probably going to be forgotten about, and everybody expects to move on. And just for that, Bill de Blasio should be impeached. I'm sorry for saying that, but it should be impeached for letting all of these issues fall into place. For meetings that should have taken place in New York City school buildings or Department of Education buildings in New York City should have happened. But no, we're going to spend money on the outside for lavish events. New York City corruption at its finest, huh? And I'm sure if John Liu was still controller of New York City, he wouldn't even talk about this. I'm sorry for bringing him up, but I have to, because he's going to be my next state senator. And you know who would expose this and have every right to defend our principles. Vicky Palladino. And I'm quickly going to mention it now before we get to the next article. I have breaking news. I have been told from a source, I'm not going to say who the source is, that, remember that I showed you that picture on Instagram the other day when I was going to the city? Well, turns out that picture is true. It looks like Vicky Palladino will announce her run to become the next public advocate of New York City. Now, it's not official yet. It's going to happen. But I am allowed to say this. If the elector board does not authorize her name to be on the ballot for the special runoff in February, she has granted permission for her supporters to write in her name to become the next public advocate. So she's not going away anytime soon. Alright, even if she loses the next race, it's possible you could see a mayoral run for Vicky Palladino. That certainly would be interesting. But we'll have to see how it plays out. And once the official announcement is made, Andy's Randomness will have exclusive coverage of the official announcement being made. But at the moment, it looks like Vicky Palladino's name might possibly be on the ballot come February when Mayor de Blasio announces the special runoff for the vacated public advocate seat, which Letitia James will vacate on January 1st. And lastly, and I know my fellow colleague Matt Camper talked about this, but I'll talk about it. This was written by Alfonso Castillo, who was an excellent reporter for the Long Island Railroad for Newsday. He wrote this article, yesterday's paper, about how the Commuter Council for the Long Island Railroad said tomorrow's hearing on a proposed rate hike is not in an area easily accessible by public transit. The council also is unhappy only one hearing is being held on Long Island. Well, that's sort of not true, because there is another one in Hicksville that I'll talk about in just a second. We'll quickly Google it. Let's see if I can quickly Google it. So here we go. So I'm trying to get you dates and locations. Yeah, we'll put that up later on. Alright, so the MTA is not doing enough to gather input from Long Island Railroad commuters about its latest proposed fare increase, the Long Island Railroad Watchdog Group said on Tuesday. The Long Island Railroad Commuter Council is raising several concerns about the MTA's lone public hearing on Long Island scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday, November 29th, regarding the planned fare hike, which could raise the monthly ticket for the Long Island Railroad as much as $15 starting in March. The hearing for tomorrow is scheduled for 5 to 8:30 p.m. at the Hilton Long Island at 598 Broad Hollow Road in Melville. Registration for speakers begins at 4:30, and I can confirm right now that Long Island Railroad advocate Matt Camper will be at the meeting tomorrow, so he will be covering it. It's tentative right now, but I know Mr. John Michnow, aka Pine Power LI, he is actually planning to go to the hearing in Jamaica, because even though it's a New York City one, I can confirm that last night at Baruch College, the full board, including Philip Bang and Elise Topeka, actually showed up. Now, the only thing is with this location, and this is a very big disappointment. We'll Google the Hilton Long Island in just a second, because I know what this hotel is. I've actually attended a autism advocacy group meeting there once for my senior year of high school, because it was a good meeting, don't get me wrong. So we'll just check to see if we could pull it up right here. I'm trying to pull it up on the map. So here's where it is. Here's where it is. So pretty much this area, okay, this area is right by Farmingdale State College. Let me try to pull it up and get rid of the map for you all, so that way, it's just so annoying. I do apologize, everyone. Just give me a second. Hilton, Broad Hollow Road. And we do have the address, so I will pull it up. So, here we go. This is where it is. In Melville. Alright? So pretty much, in this area, you don't really have that many mass transit options. Because guess what, folks? The Long Island Railroad didn't realize that they put it in a location where mass transit is not accessible. And guess what? Now, in order to get to this, you have to take the N72 to Farmingdale. Farmingdale College. So another epic fail brought to you by the MTA. What else is new? Or you have to take, guess what? Suffolk Transit. Because Suffolk Transit actually does run a route over there. See if I can pull up my transit locations. Yep, Google hides it from you. That's fantastic. Let's see what happens when you try Googling mass transit directions from where I live all the way. Yep. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Like I figured, you have to take the N70. It's not the N72. I apologize, everyone. And then take a look at this. Now you have to walk 15 minutes from Farmingdale College. That's an epic fail right there. Now, let's see. Look at this. Tomorrow they're having the same one in the Bronx. And on the website, they actually do list the accurate date for the meeting in Queens. Let's see. Right, Hicksville's having one too. As I said, I might write a written... I am going to submit a comment online. Because I'm not going to be silent about this. Believe me. I'm not. I'm going to mention the buses are getting dirty. The subways are getting irreliable. And the railroad always has problems. It's not a perfect system. And I know people are going. But it's very important that we all prevent these fare hikes. That's all I'm going to end it on. So that's going to wrap up today's news update. Thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.